To start working with HTML elements, you need HTML tag. You need the form tag or the form element. Inside the form element, you can have label. Label is just like title of the input field. So you can say enter first name. Now after this label, you can have input here. Now the type is text. This type is an attribute. After this text, you can also have a placeholder. This is actually optional because it plays the same role as label, but here is put inside the input field. You can say first name. Let's go to the browser and check and see what we have. So you see, first name, enter your first name. So label is optional. So I can have this one. Label, enter your last name. Then I'll have input field. The type is still name. This name and ID for now, we don't need it. Placeholder, last name, or enter your last name. After this, we're going to have label, input field. The type I'm expecting now is email. So I'm going to say placeholder, email, address. Now this time around, I'm going to add this input field without label, just to show you that it's optional. So for the input field I'm expecting now is password. So I'm going to say password, then placeholder will be enter your password. Enter your password. I can still have password, confirm password, placeholder. I'll say confirm password. Now I'm going to be having this input field. The type will be color. This time around I don't need some placeholder. Input field, type range. Let's go to the browser and see what we have. So this is input field, last name, email, password, confirm password. And this type is color. You can select and request that user select a particular thing. Then range. This can be used for rating or any other or whatever it is you want to use it for. Then you can have input field like dates. You have input field like time, the type that is time. So these are different input fields you can have. Now we also have select. Select is an input field. Here you can tell the user to select a particular option. Okay, so how did, okay, let me just say Q&A question. So I'll say, how did you meet? Did you hear about us? So here the user will supply the answer in another option here. So I'm going to be using Facebook. This value is necessary when you are sending this information on the database, but for now it's optional. So I'm just going to say Facebook. So for the next one, I'll add Instagram. Instagram. Then for the next one, Twitter. So this is it. How did you hear about us? So select Facebook. Now change this. So that's it. Now the next one I want us to look at is this one. This input field with the type. But I'm going to add this label here. So I'm going to be adding label. So here I'm going to say accept our privacy policy. But then I'll say input. This time around, I'm going to say checkbox. Checkbox. After this checkbox, I'm going to be adding this one. Okay, before the checkbox, I'll add this label. So, are you a female or a male? If you select that, whichever one you are, female or male. Then after this, I'm going to say input. The type will be radio. Now it comes with attribute. This one is very important when you are using radio. Gender. I'm going to have another one for male. So this is male. Input field. The type is radio again. Now the name is important too. The two of them must have the same name. Gender. Now going back, this is it. So if a male, select. If a female, something is missing here. Okay, let's go back to our code. So I have, okay, sorry. What? Okay, this is for female, this is for male. This is for accept our privacy policy. Alright, so if you're a female, you select. If you're a male, you unselect. Alright, now if you don't have this name as the same, if gender is here and something else, if you have different names, it will unselect. Excuse me, so you select here, trying to select this one. This one can't unselect because they don't have similar name. That's why we give them the same name, right? So you can easily unselect. Now looking at this form, you see all of them are on the same line, which is not looking nice. So you can break them using break line for now until we start our styling, but we've not started styling yet. So I'm going to break them with break line. So, but before I do that, I want to add this part, text area. So the text area here, I'm going to add row. I'm going to give it a label. You can see I have a label here, like this. Now, so I'll say enter your message. Enter your message, then this label. Right. So enter your message. Now we have this text area. We can have rows. The number of rows we want to have. Then I have columns, say 30. Okay. So this is it. Now let's use break line. I showed you break line in element when we were discussing elements. So I'll add break line on each of this br. So I'll just take this. I'll add it to the end of each line. So this is what we have now. So another way to do this is to wrap each of them in a div or in any of the containers. So if you wrap each of them, for example, I can actually remove this. I can actually remove this and wrap this in a div. And put this inside a div like this. Because this is a block element, color will start on a new line. So this is color is on a new line. It still worked. Okay. So last thing we are going to do is add the submit button. So just say input, type is submit. Then I'm going to give it a value, which is submit or send message. Send message. So I have this send message. So I can as well add my break line here. But once we start using CSS, please, we don't need break line anymore because the CSS will do the hack for us. Okay, so here I'm still going to say send. You can as well use button. If you don't want to use input field as the type of the submit, use button, but you must put submit attribute, the type submit attribute. There is important attributes you can as well add to form. So you can, if you come to this page, you can easily submit this form. Hit submit, it sends. But once we add this attribute, it helps to give validation, add validation to the form. So I'm going to add this attribute here. The attribute is required. So required means that this field is required. You must fill it. If you don't fill it, this form can't be submitted. So I add required. Email, you can as well add required. Email, of course, email is always required. Then password, you can add required on your password too. Required. So coming back, let's try fill some and leave some empty. Okay, leave this ones empty. Select color, select a date, select time. Okay, answer the question and try submitting. It refers you to this part. Please fill out this field because we added required that HTML form. Thank you so much. But before then, I want you to do an exercise. So this is the exercise you're going to do. So coming here, you're going to create user registration form with all the input field I just discussed.